Today we're going to jump into our second video out of our series of 5 and really focus on the function of sensory within elopement. Remember, there's 4 different functions. We have sensory, escape, attention, and tangible. But today we are diving in only to sensory. And this is how elopement is affected by someone's value of how it feels good, meaning sensory. So some kids have elopement behavior that can put them in danger simply because they like running, not because they're anticipating those things or for any other reason. So we need to look at a way of how do we get someone to not do what they want to do because it puts them at risk. And so we're going to look at several different steps on how you can address this behavior when it's functioning as sensory. Okay, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to look for the behavior that we want to teach in place of this running. So is running bad? Do we not want them to have the things they want? Absolutely not. We want them to be able to enjoy the activity of running if that's truly something they enjoy. But the replacement behavior to this is requesting to do it before they actually do it. And you can look at doing this on a very individualized basis. It can be a request verbally, it can be a picture exchange, it can be a sign, it can be a gesture. There's all these different things that you can use to communicate that they want to engage in that behavior prior to them doing it, so it becomes more predictable and you can ensure it's a safe environment. So that's the first thing. Identify what you want to happen instead. The second thing we're going to look at is reinforcement. Okay, this is something that's really valuable and reinforcing, just running in and of itself. So how do you compete with somebody deciding to do it with the replacement behavior requesting first? So I'm going to encourage you that when you are teaching them to request, add something to the environment that they wouldn't get otherwise just by running. So for example, if we are going to have them request, and I know the reinforcer of something they like is maybe Skittles, for example, then I might reinforce them for requesting with Skittles and running by waiting and doing it in the appropriate way that makes it safe. So add reinforcement to the environment in addition to the running can be really powerful to help our kids focus and also catch their need of running and delay it and then request it to be done appropriately in the appropriate fashion. So maybe now instead of doing it on the sidewalk, you're say, hey, sure, we can go do some running. Walk inside, hand that reinforcer, and say, let's do it in the backyard. So there's ways for us to start to bridge and teach it appropriately. Okay, the next part is we have to have a plan for success. We have to start to prepare this. It's not a good idea to just think, oh, we're going to address this in the moment and teach that replacement behavior and reinforce it. We really need to set it up for success. So if you're able to have time set aside where you know that you can work on this about 10 times in a row in these short spurts and have them practice requesting with, guess what, that tangible extra reinforcer right in place, you have a plan now to practice that permanence. And that's what we want. We want this to become the new habit and the new routine, again, to get them what they want, which is that sensory need of running, but in an appropriate and safe way. Okay, the other thing we want to do is let's say we put all this in place, we've practiced, we have our competing reinforcer in place, we know the replacement behavior, right? We have the environment set up to be safe, but it does happen. Your kiddo elopes unexpectedly and they're not requesting, and now you're kind of in this mad dash looking for your kid and trying to have them. It's really important that we don't say, hey, remember, here's the reinforcement. Now let's start and practice. That is not the best time to practice your routine. Instead, what you're going to want to do is go back to a place that is neutral and engage in a task like a puzzle or maybe something that doesn't have huge reinforcing value. And you're basically going to reset the stage so that then you can go back into requesting and practicing in a safe environment. So it's really important. Here, I want you to just take one thing back, is that you do not want to reinforce following that running, because if that occurs, then you're encouraging the running and kids can start to actually think, oh, I enjoy running, and worst case scenario, I get offered something really great to come back home. And so it's really important that you have your reinforcement timed appropriately in teaching that replacement skill and also that plan of how to go back, how to go to something neutral, and then reset that practice opportunities of multiple times with reinforcement in the appropriate way. This is a lot of information. We just talked about sensory. We're going to be talking about the other functions. They have different plans, different strategies, but it's really important that you follow this based on the function of behavior. And we even have a kind of a cheat sheet that you can review all this content and even make a plan for yourself and how it's uniquely appropriate for your own child.
Yeah, I think this is really, really well laid out, and sensory is a very difficult thing because we do want them to get their sensory needs met, but we just need to do it in a safe way. So check out the rest of the videos and keep shining bright.